So in our previous video, we talk about basic installation process of React in a local machine and file structure and a basic hello world application. So as I told you before, React we don't work as our traditional way, like linking page and reloading everything, putting everything in one page and reloading everything once. In React we use a system called component. Everything is divided into small part called component in React. For example, you can see this website, and in here, if this was built in as plain HTML and JavaScript or any traditional way, this would be index.php, and everything from this toolbar, this navbar, this sidebar, this body, and this footer, everything will be put in on one page, and that page will be called index.php. But in React it will not work as in that way, but in React everything is divided into small part, which is called component. If this site is built in React, so in here this navbar is one component, this sidebar, right sidebar, is another component, this body is another component, and this footer is another component. So basically this page is consists of first, second, third, and fourth component. So we can perform different action in this different component and load this component as we demand. So when refreshing a page, we do not have to refresh every whole page, but rather we'll refresh an individual component. So that is a feature which makes React really useful and popular in today's context. So let's go to our IDE, that is Visual Code, and let's see how component is made. So this is our basic application we built in previously, Hello World. Here we have built in app.js, we have put this text, and that is showing in our browser. So to build the component, first create in src folder component. You can put this in everywhere if desire, but it will be better if you most developer use this way. So put a folder name called component in src folder, and there create a file called first component.js. Now I have created a JS file, then import React and component from React, then make a class and export it. This is first component. So in React, everything you put render should be inside div tag. So let's give it a S2 and make it my first component. We have created our first component. Let's refresh it, but it's not appearing in our browser. But why? Because I give it time. I leave it to you guys to think for a second. If you found that, I see, congratulations. But if you didn't, I'm gonna show you why. So we have successfully created our first component, but as I told you previously, everything we do must be included in app.js. For example, we have hello world, This make it for distinguishing this. This is from app, which is go to our browser. As you can see, this is showing, but for our component it's not showing there. So for that, we have created our component, but we haven't included this in our app.js. So let's include that. First component and close that. Now you can see our first component, data from first component is showing in our app.js on our browser. So things to note that is, you have created you have included first component, but most of when in beginner phase we don't recognize this, we don't see this. To include any component on app.js, you must first import first component, this file, from location. This is a location. In my case, the location is SR component and first component. So I'm here, it's going back to SRC folder, then it's going to component folder, and then it's going to first component, and that is this. So if we have created a folder in public in another way, in outside, we have to go to back and then folder name and your file name, and this is your class name, file name, this is your component name. So without importing, it will not work in a browser, as you can see. So to include any component into app.js, you have to use this and import file from that location. So first component, go to first component and change something like you have success, you have complete, you have imported from your first component. Go to a browser, as you can see, you have imported from first component. So that's it for a component. Thank you so much for watching.